Welcome gamers, weebs, and nerds alike. 2025 is finally here, and it might be one of the most stacked years for gaming we've had in a while. So in today's video, we are going over 10 of our picks for the most anticipated games confirmed to release in 2025. Make sure to subscribe for more geek content, and without further ado, let's get into the list.
First up, we have Kingmakers. If you know the Variant Geek channel, then you know we are suckers for games that many would label as dumb fun. Well, that is exactly what Kingmakers seems to be offering. I mean, where else can I take my Ford F-150 and AR-15 into a medieval battle but this game? In all seriousness, this game looks like it's going to drain so many more hours than we even anticipate out of our lives. While the premise of modern guy time travels with guns and attack helicopters to the Dark Ages is enough to at least garner a raised eyebrow and a few hours of dumb fun, Kingmakers seems to be so much more than what it is at the surface level view. From creating your own castle to commanding your legions RTS style, there's a lot that's going to be going on in this game. There actually seems to be a very interesting campaign mode where we get to decide our own fate for England depending on our allegiances. It will be interesting to see how the progression system goes from sword and shield to F-15 airstrikes. The whole premise will be interesting to see fleshed out, and we cannot wait to terrorize the battlefield. As soon as it is available, we will be playing this one on stream, as there is a co-op campaign mode. So be sure to check out our Army of Darkness, Kingmaker stream sometime later this year.
Next up, we have Monster Hunter Wilds. This is a no-brainer for a lot of people, as it's one of the few games some people think can compete with GTA 6, and you know what? I think they could be right. I'm not huge into Monster Hunter games, but I did play a little of World and a chunk of Rise, and I had a lot more fun than I thought I would, and this looks to be even bigger and better. The combat looks really smooth and fluid, the open areas look really cool and fun to explore, and of course the big draw is the monsters, and they look and act better than ever. Capcom is really cooking up something special with this, and it definitely could be one of the best multiplayer experiences to come out in recent years. They had so many different weapon types to play with, and for those who haven't played a Monster Hunter game, the loop is basically go out, complete some quests, track and kill monsters for parts, to make better weapons, to go out and kill bigger and better monsters, and loop. It had almost 500,000 people on Steam alone playing the beta, and it's only going to increase with the full release. You'll be able to have two weapons, one stored and one on your mount to use. The hook is coming back, and you can even use it to gather resources from your mount, and there'll be environmental effects like monsters slipping in the sand, among a lot of other things. This looks like they've taken what they've learned from the last two games and are expanding exponentially. I do hope it'll be new player friendly, which it is looking to be so if this sounds like a fun game to play solo or with your friends, definitely pick it up on February 27th.
Next up, we have Tales of the Shire. If you've followed the channel long enough, you know that we are suckers for a good cozy game. From Animal Crossing to Stardew Valley to Harvest Moon, there's just something about that constant progression loop that gets our synapses firing. We'll pair that with one of the greatest IPs of all time in Lord of the Rings, and you get Tales of the Shire. We've been looking forward to this one since the initial announcement nearly a year ago. With a very charming and lighthearted art style, this game surely looks to welcome the cozy gamers into the Lord of the Rings universe. While we know that cozy gaming isn't everyone's cup of tea, there is something for every type of cozy gamer in this title. From farming, to fishing, to cooking and bartering, and so much more, it surely looks like a great addition to the Lord of the Rings gaming world. One thing we are curious to see is if there will be any sort of combat, like with other major cozy games like Stardew Valley. So far, it seems like just a peaceful farming sim in the Shire, which would fit the Hobbit vibes. But I know I am personally most looking forward to finally creating my own Hobbit hole after all these years of daydreaming about it. Well, I better have a pretty solid design immediately. With visions of farming in the bywater dancing around in our heads, this cozy game is surely on our radar this year.
Next up, we have Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories in the Envisioned Land. This looks to be Koei Tecmo's most ambitious game in this series, which makes sense with the success of the Ryza trilogy. The Atelier series is a long-running franchise with its own focused stories grouped together, but don't worry, you don't have to play the previous titles to get into this one. The gameplay loop has remained relatively similar, with changes here and there, and this one looks to be no different. You go out into the world, collect materials, beat monsters, explore, do quests, and then come back and use those materials to do some alchemy, making new tools, items, potions, potions, weapons, etc., to explore and collect more and better things, all while progressing through the story at your own pace. You'll be able to build your own atelier for the first time ever and decorate it how you want. Another big change is the new real-time action combat, which looks to expand upon the real-time rhythm-based turn combat of the Ryza games. This game looks like it'll be a lot of fun and really kind of relaxing, with a much more mature, dark story. So if that sounds right up your alley, pick it up on March 20th.
Next up for us is The Outer Worlds 2. Back in 2019, when The Outer Worlds released, both of us here at the Variant Geek channel promptly picked it up and shut ourselves in for hours on end, as we could not wait to explore the exciting new original Obsidian IP. Well, fast forward 6 years, and The Outer Worlds, while being a phenomenal experience at the time, really truly left us wanting. A few things that the first game lacked was weapon variety, enemy variety, and environmental variety, to name just a few. Well, after the most recent trailer for The Outer Worlds 2, we could not be any more excited, as it seems that not only did Obsidian listen to the feedback on the first game and completely overhaul their worlds to address all the issues I just listed. No, they also went a step further. They went a step further and made multiple hilarious jokes at their own expense in the trailer, acknowledging those previous shortcomings. All in all, it looks like Obsidian took everything that was incredible about The Outer Worlds and turned it up to an absolute 10 for the sequel. The graphics look beautiful, just as before. The over-monopolistic corporate towns and entities are ever present, and so too are all the zany, colorful alien creatures of the various planets. We love to see growth from studios, even with as storied past as Obsidian. It really is awesome. All that aside, this game just looks like a comedic, action-packed fun storm, and we can't wait to play it later this year.
Next up, we have Doom: The Dark Ages. What's more metal than killing demons with a shotgun while heavy rock plays in the background? How about using the skulls of your enemies as ammo, or beating them down in a giant demon-slaying mech? Or how about riding a dragon with laser wings and using it to breathe hellfire into a giant demon? If that sounds freaking awesome to you, then you're in the majority, as a lot of people, including us, are really looking forward to this game. This is the next installment of the Doom franchise, and after the resounding success of Doom 2016 and Eternal, id Software looks to keep ramping things up in this new one, as we are back as the Doomslayer, but in a more fantasy primeval setting, fur cloak and all. They are adding new weapons, movement mechanics, mounts, and a shield to help you annihilate demons left and right. We don't have an exact release date other than 2025, but we should definitely expect to see it released somewhere around late summer or early fall.
Next up on our list, we have Atomfall. Imagine if the Fallout and Stalker universes had a baby, and that baby came out British. Well, that's Atomfall. This post-apocalyptic journey across the pond looks like it's going to be an absolute blast. Pun very much intended. This game looks like it took lots of notes from other survival and post-apocalyptic games and has crafted some darn near perfect gameplay systems. Some of the systems that we are looking forward to the most are the crafting and upgrade systems, which looks satisfying and very, very fleshed out. While the design of the enemies, from the cultists to the automatons and the mutants, look absolutely breathtaking, we haven't seen a whole lot of variety quite yet in what we've seen in the gameplay trailers, so hopefully they're just keeping that under wraps for now. Back to the positives though, one thing we are extremely excited about is the scarcity of resources being an emphasis for Atomfall. While games like Fallout New Vegas are constantly in our top 10s for games of all time, there is something quite immersion breaking when you take a second to consider that Courier 6 just casually carts around thousands of rounds of ammunition and has no issues acquiring said ammo and consumables in the wasteland. So the crafting and scavenging systems being as important as they are in Atomfall is a huge bonus for us. For so many more reasons than just the crafting systems and the scarcity of resources, Atomfall is shaping up to be an instant classic that we cannot wait to get our grubby little irradiated hands on this year.
Next, we have Clair Obscura Expedition 33. This one caught a lot of people by surprise when it was announced last year at the Xbox Showcase, and for good reason. The art style looks very clean and the enemies look downright phenomenal, with some really fun and unique looking designs, including the return of Pontiff Sullivan. This looks like a really fun new take on the turn-based RPG genre, with a heavy focus on timing and parrying, making it a more real-time turn-based combat. And let's not forget the set pieces, which look beautiful, and the stacked voice cast, which includes Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, Jennifer English, Andy Serkis, Shala Nix, Christy Ryder, and a lot more. I love it when games decide to do something new and experimental, and this definitely looks to push the RPG genre in a good way. The story also sounds interesting as it follows the main group going on a desperate quest to break the Paintress's cycle of death. While we don't have a date, we do have a window, and that is summer 2025. And to top it off, it's also coming to Game Pass. This definitely has the potential to be a top tier RPG, and maybe even a shadow horse for Game of the Year.
Next up on our list, we have Avowed. While many wish that Obsidian was hard at work on Elder Scrolls 6 instead, since they seem to make better Bethesda sequels than Bethesda, we are hyped for Avowed. Many are already calling this game Skyrim 2.0, with the exception of some of the negative Nancy buzz going around currently. Obsidian has been busting their behinds on this game, and it shows in all the trailers so far. One thing that we noticed that has been crafted masterfully is the dialogue system. It really gives us Baldur's Gate flashbacks with how many different avenues it seems like conversations and therefore NPC reactions and quests can take. The combat and many different weapon types look like a seriously good time, especially the magic. The animation for the magic abilities and attacks honestly look breathtaking, and may even sway myself from my traditional first run of any RPG being just a roided out, heavy armor wearing, two-handed weapon spamming psychopath. Another thing that stood out to us in all the gameplay footage so far has been the beautifully designed enemies and the variety in enemies. It looks like one moment you may be gallivanting around the woods fighting a little pack of lizard men, and then the very next you're in a cursed grove fighting some berserking Sylvan-esque dryads. We are loving everything we are seeing so far from this game and are looking forward to its release later this year.
Last but definitely not least, we have something on the complete opposite side of the spectrum from our last pick, and that's Mecha Break. I wasn't really huge into mecha games, but then I played a small game called Armored Core from a reasonably well-known company, and honestly, it tickled my primal brain. I mean, how could you not say big customizable robots fighting other big customizable robots and other big monsters is not just freaking cool? This looks like if Armored Core snorted 6 lions and drank 10 energy drinks in the best way possible. You get to choose from a variety of different mechs, from assault, melee, to recon and sniper, and take on a variety of different PvE missions. The gameplay looks very smooth and doesn't feel clunky at all, and you do get to customize the appearance of your mech. This looks like a lot of fun and a great action multiplayer game to mess around in for a while, and while we don't have a release date yet, it is confirmed for sometime later this year. That wraps up our video for the best games coming out in 2025. There were a lot of games we didn't cover, so let us know in the comments what games you're looking forward to this year. If you liked the video, make sure to like and share as it helps us out a lot. Check us out on Twitch and TikTok until it disappears for more geeky goodness, and until the next video, keep on geeking on.